Last week we engaged in this challenge from James, where he invited us to look at life, the way things happen to us. Do we feel tempted, challenged, tested, or is it part of our growth? And today we continue the same flow, basically starting from verse 12.
Sin, temptations, battle against self. Very real things, talking James about.
And verse 12 is a very good separation line between the previous lesson and this week. It's kind of a conclusion and introduction because it creates the context. It gives us as well as perspective. It's not just about challenges, about tests, difficulties in life, but it's about a journey. You want to live in a different world, much better world, right? So keep the focus there. The road won't be easy, but keep the focus. But many of us think that someone is actually playing with us, testing us. Is that so? Who is tempting you?
My desires. James says that.
Very lustful person, huh?
James says that our desires can lead us with temptation to make a choice for sin. So it's our sinful nature that controls us sometimes, and we choose sin. But some people think that God is tempting us.
And this is a very important point because it's in our nature to find someone else to blame, like Adam and Eve. I mean, it wasn't them, right?
Yeah. Temptation is not a sin. This is what James says. Sinful is our nature, and who controls our nature but us? So we can have our own desires, and our desires can lead us to a temptation, and we can make a choice for sin. And sin leads to death. So God has nothing to do with leading us into temptation, but just the opposite.
James is clearing this up. Hey, these unhealthy desires and cravings, they're coming from you. And the good things, they are actually coming from God.
And although we are dragged by our own desires and we fall into sin and it changes us also, God has helped us to overcome those desires. The desires are still there, but the power of God helps us to make a different choice for good.
This may not be news for some of us, but it's a very important base that James establishes here. It affects our actions, our mentality, our anger management. As he says, we should be quick to listen, but slow to speak and slow to be angry.
And left on our own, we can't change. And probably James encountered people like that who spoke a lot and they were not patient to listen. And this communication has built up into anger. And the lesson calls it sinful communication, a communication that James says does not lead to righteousness.
When we understand how damaged we are and what is being done for us, then we can do something. And James is asking us to get rid of the moral filth and humbly accept what is being done for us, because actually it can save us.
Yeah. And at the end we can say that James was like a life coach for the first church. He walked every step with the church. He lived this transformation that we're talking about here, but he was also able to pass it on to everybody else.